In example 4, t is directly proportional to the square of d. Now you have to pay attention to this. Square of d. If t is equals to 100, d is equals to 2. Find a formula which connects t and d. So step 1, we're going to write the equation relating t and d. Relating t and d. Okay, so you're going to write an equation relating t and d. Now, t is directly proportional to the square of d. And I'll start by writing this using a proportional statement. So, t is directly proportional to the square of d, which means t is equal to k multiplied by d squared. All right. If t is proportional to d squared, there has to be a constant k that connects these guys. So t is equals to k multiplied by d squared. And we'll soon find out what k is. So step 2, to find the value of k, substitute the values of t is equals to 100 and d is equals to 2 into this equation that you have here in step 1. So to find the value of k, substitute the values of t is equals to 100 and d is equals to 2 into t is equals to k d squared. Okay, now this is basically what you have here, right? So we need to plug in those values of t and d into that equation to be able to find the value of k. So when t is equals to 100, d is equal to 2, so which means 100 is equals to k multiplied by 4, and the opposite of multiplying by 4 is dividing by 4, so k will be 100 divided by 4, which is 25. So k is equals to 25. Okay, k is equals to 25. So our step 3 will be to rewrite the equation using our newly found value of k, because now we have k, which means we know the guy that's connecting these two variables. So we can go ahead and say step 3, rewrite the equation using your newly found value of k. So k is equals to 25, and basically my equation is t is equals to k multiplied by d squared, so t is equals to 25 d squared. So t is equals to 25 d squared. Okay, and that is basically the formula. All right, and now we can use this formula to work out b and c. B, find the value of t when d is equals to 3. So for B, when D is equals to 3, T will be equal to 25 multiplied by 3 squared. So that's 25 multiplied by 9. And that will be equal to 225. Okay, and then for C, find the value of D when T is equals to 200. When T is equals to 200, so you'll have 200 is equals to 25 multiplied by D squared. And by the way, the opposite of multiplying by 25 is dividing by 25. So D squared will be 200 divided by 25. So which means and 200 divided by 25 is 8. So D squared is equals to 8. And the opposite of squaring is square root. And if you work out the square root of 8, that will be equal to 2.83. This is to 2 decimal places. Last example, the period or time for one complete swing of a pendulum is directly proportional to the square root of its length. So the period is directly proportional to the square root of its length. Before we start working out this question, we need to know which variables that you are dealing with here. So maybe we can start by saying let P be the period and let L be the length. So we can say let P be the period, because you have two variables. We have the period and the length. Okay, so maybe we can just start by introducing these variables, and hopefully they can help us to analyze this situation properly. So let P be the period and L be the length. Okay, so we have P and L. Okay, we need to find a formula connecting these two guys. So step 1, rewrite the equation relating P and L. So step 1, okay, so we know that P is directly proportional to the square root of L, which means that there has to be a constant connecting these two guys. So P is equal to K square root of L. Okay, so this is the equation, but we need to find what K is. So step 2 will be to find the value of K by substituting the value of L and P into this equation. So step 2, find the value of K. Now we can find the value of K by substituting these conditions. L is equals to 25, P is equals to 1. Okay, so basically what I'll end up with is now P is equal to 1, so that will be 1 is equal to K multiplied by the square root of L, and L is 25. I'm using these conditions here, right? These conditions here. Anyway, you can see them. So what we'll end up with is 25 here. So 1, this means that 1 is equals to k multiplied by square root of 25 is 5, which means that k will be equal. The opposite of multiplying by 5 is dividing by 4, so 1 over 5. Okay, 1 over 5. So k is equals to 1 over 5. Step 3, rewrite the equation using a newly found value of k. So our step 3 will be rewrite the equation using your newly found value of k. So basically what we have here is k is equals to 1 over 5. So p will be equal to 1 over 5 square root of L. Okay. And now we can use this to work out the remaining questions. So if the value of L is 70, find the period. So what we can do is just come over here and say, for part A, the period will be equal to 1 over 5 multiplied by square root of 70, and just plug that in your calculator and you'll get 1.67 seconds. And for part B, what will the length be for a period of 2 seconds? So what we need here is just to plug in 2 in place of the period. So 2 is equal to 1 over 5 multiplied by square root of L. Now the opposite of dividing by 5 is multiplying by 5. So what we'll end up with is square root of L will be equal to 2 multiplied by 5, which is 10. So square root of L is equals to 10. Now the opposite of square rooting is to square. So basically L will be equal to 10 squared, which is equals to 100. So L is equals to 100 centimeters.